Hi guys, welcome to the Whytes channel. Legendary American boxer Mike Tyson is not sure that Anthony Joshua should have an intermediate rematch with the WBA, WBO and IBF heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk, unless he prepares properly for an uncomfortable lefty. I wouldn't fight him right now unless there were really uncomfortable left-handed fighters in my gym. You know, Usyk is actually overplaying, beating you. Joshua was not ready to handle a guy with a good jab. Dimensions don't mean anything. When you look at a statistic, it says that one guy weighs 109 kilograms and the second one weighs 100 kilograms. But you can't weight anyone's will, desire and determination. The mobility of Usyk just confused Joshua. I've encountered mobility before. It's like dancing, someone just can't keep up with it. Mike Tyson said. British WBC heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury is sure that his compatriots would be much more interesting to watch his fight against Anthony Joshua and not against Ukrainian Alexander Usyk, despite the fact that the latter holds the rest of the prestigious division titles. At the same time, Fury admits that Joshua can either refuse a second fight with Usyk or decide on a rematch, but in the second case, it will not end well for him. Do you think the British public is hungry for a Ukrainian Usyk who doesn't speak English and represents a foreign country? Or it is hungry for the biggest British fight Fury-Joshua, since Lennox Lewis and Franco Bruno crossed in the ring? Tyson asks and without waiting for an answer continues. I would say that Fury-Joshua is the best fight for fans, and I don't think Joshua wants to fight him, Usyk. Regardless of the conditions and circumstances, I think Joshua will either give up the right to a rematch, or he will still fight and then there will be a fight again, after which his career will come to an end. Fury is categorical. I think his confidence is at zero now, and at the moment he is very vulnerable. If Joshua fights with Usyk again, it will be the last nail in the lid of his coffin. Tyson Fury said. Friends, before starting to watch this video, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. If you really enjoy the content, then please subscribe to my channel and keep watching the videos. If you are subscribed, then you receive notifications about the release of new videos. You do not even have to look for anything personally. I really want to get 10,000 subscribers on my channel. I'm trying very hard absolutely every day and I need your support, your likes, comments, reposts to social networks. Thanks to everyone who subscribes to my channel. You are my support, thank you so much. Former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua is unlikely to be able to take revenge from the offender. The current IBF, WBO, WBA title holder Alexander Usyk, says Tyson Fury's promoter Frank Warren. He shared his opinion with Boxing Social. Warren joked, saying that Usyk is a nut and a ruse who trained with a refrigerator before the rematch. He is an absolute pro and will be in shape. He has already fought with AJ and I think worked him out, the functionary said. The only way for Joshua to win a rematch is not to try to box, but to break him. And here are the questions. Will he be able to do so? If he can and goes to throw bombs, will he open up strong enough for Usyk? Will he open up strong enough for Usyk to catch him on a counterattack? No matter who is in his corner, he will have to change a lot. It's not just about the coach, but also about the attitude to the fight. According to my feelings, Usyk just calculated it. I was surprised how easily he did it. Moreover, he beat him because of a jab from a long distance, not a short one. And twice I was close to an early victory. He has an outstanding coach in the person of Lomachenko Stewart, Warren said. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.